I guess we better press our buttons.
All right, just so you guys know, this is going to be pretty quick. We're going to have another meeting in 2 weeks.
It shouldn't, there it is.
There we go. We'll have another meeting in 2 weeks. That'll be formal. There's some things that Rick had to go through that we had to get done. I talked to the comptroller this morning just to make sure we were okay with that, because I don't have a secretary anymore who normally puts my agenda out for the board. So I've got to get a secretary to help take care of some of that. But we'll have another meeting in 2 weeks, and then we'll list out the meetings at that meeting for the remainder of the year so that we can be on track and everybody be on the same page. That way we kind of know what's going on, because we've got to cover some new business, but we've got to cover some old business as well. But the things that Rick needs to cover are pretty urgent, so I'm going to let him handle those to make sure that they get covered. I'm going to take the sign-in sheet and just get it passed around.
You got one?
I do.
Okay. I was looking for one. Did you get a notebook?
He got one in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Anytime you come onto the board, everybody gets a notebook. Rick, you got one? I'll get you one. It's got all the guidelines in it and everything.
I forgot to bring mine.
It's today's date, 28th.
28th.
My days are running together. I was on thirds, so. Rick, I'm gonna let you get started on what you need to let us know.
First thing I wanted to go over with is the last meeting, which was, it's been about a year. We had some conversations about a few things, so I need to go back over those just so we can kind of remember where we were at and then see what we can get done.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna record meetings so I can take minutes later. Is everybody okay with that?
Sure.
It's going to be on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna do this so I can take minutes.
So the first thing is we talked about getting stickers for the service for the control panels.
Mhm.
So I just printed you off that. So if you want to look at that, and this is what's on the old boxes. Some of them have faded. Some of them don't have them. And then some of the properties we've actually had to change the old control panels out, and the new control panels don't have these stickers. We get a lot of calls from neighbors or other people who don't know who to call,
Or they
and
call
this
me,
number is probably very valuable to the homeowners on the box. Gives them something good to look at to know exactly who to call.
Whose number is it?
This goes to the 911 control center, and the 911 control center usually dispatches
They have my number,
They have a
Rick's
couple
number,
different
and
numbers.
Justin's number to give a call to.
on dispatch, but it's mainly that goes to dispatch. They log the call, I'm sure. That way, if anybody was to ever say, "Hey, I called and nothing happened,"
Because we have 24 hours to respond, some kind of response.
and there's been some. But the reason that this got brought up is because there was some other people that used to be the one that they called, and it was confusing. And sometimes they would call the comm center, and the comm center would call the wrong person. But I think we've got that cleared up since
We did.
since that. So maybe we just work back on getting these. These will help. These will help out.
Yeah, I will take care of
homeowners
that
a
before
lot.
the next meeting.
Yeah. So
If you'll pass me that, I'm gonna hang on to that if that's okay.
and you guys might have these. I'm not sure, but this is back when the ARPA money became available. We decided I guess we kind of went in and talked to Scott St. John, and he put a plan together for some of the things that we need done at Wayside, basically. As you can see, this was done in 2022. and we just recently started bidding out some of these projects. And kind of what David was talking about is I've spoken with the company that won the bid, and basically got the idea that we're way short funding for what things cost today. Now, they haven't done the assessment yet, and once they do the assessment, we'll have a much better idea of.
So my question is on that, Rick. If they bid the job, what did they win the bid at, and why are we doing another assessment on the job if they won the bid?
Okay, so on number 9, part of this
The
system improvement is the assessment management plan. That's part of the bid. So the bid was bid out in sections.
Right.
The first section is the assessment management plan, soil mapping, and then the tree removal and existing, working on getting the zones where we're going to put in, getting
Right.
all that cleared, and all the dirt work and everything that's involved with that. So the company that won the bid for that, they're going to be doing the assessment for everything else, because we don't know everything that's wrong until they look at it and tell us what's wrong.
How long ago has it been since they won the bid, Rick?
Like this was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. This part of it is basically just happened. We just got approved through the state. I talked to Jonathan. I've been in conversations with Jonathan the last couple of days. And this is just a little bit of background of what happened. So we had a couple companies bid. They were the lowest bid, but they were over budget for what we kind of had planned, what Scott had planned. So we brought them back to the table and said, we kind of had an idea what we could spend for this first bid, and we're way over. So let's see what we can do to make that happen.
So this 820,000 was just an estimate?
So and back in 2022, I believe I wasn't a part of this part of it. I'm just kind of new, but to what happened or what's going on. But I believe Scott put these numbers together, and in 2022, this is kind of what it would have cost to get this
And
stuff
that's
done.
now the number that they use that federal money to set aside.
So this is the money that we got. It's the 975 is the number that we have.
I mean,
Set aside.
Yeah.
20.
right. Even with this, you've got to look at the treatment system and control panel. We didn't pay 55 for that. We paid 30.
Well, we had
And that was done
the control panel.
year and a half ago.
We had 40,000 set aside for that.
at 40,000, and we paid
Yeah.
30. So
Mhm.
there's 10,000 there.
So we do have money left because we got that done about a year and a half ago. So we
Right.
kind of got a good price on it. This is the 975 is what I was told that is what we have to spend for this project.
It is.
What I'm just telling you guys is that I talked kind of personally with the contractors, and they haven't done the assessment. So this is
Right.
not, but they said this is nowhere near what it's going to take. And to give you a small window of what they're saying is we had budgeted for the tree removal. It says they had 55,000 there, and then for the assessment is like another 40,000, and then I'm not 100% sure what the first bid. I thought it was for installing drip fields, but
Right.
I'm not sure that it is. But just the tree removal alone, we have 55 here. I'm pretty sure the bid was over 200,000.
Sounds like in our next meeting, I probably need to get with St. John and see if they can come and just kind of walk us through.
Sounds like it.
But
I'm
so
assuming that 40,000 is his.
we already did that part of it, the 40,000, the control panel planning, design. It does say planning, design, and construction and control panel. I think all of that has
That's already come out of the Wayside
already been
account.
done.
Yeah.
But again, so here's one of the things that we did. So when we sat, it was myself, and of course Justin was there, Mariana, Scott St. John, and then Hawkins and Price is the company that won the bid. We sat down and was like, look, this is more than what we had, kind of thought it was going to be. What can we do? They decided between Scott St. John and Hawkins and Price that maybe the best option was to. So we laid out a scope of work for the clearing of the trees. They decided that maybe we should do the assessment and make sure that all that we had needed to be cleared really needed to be cleared, because we may not need all that land that needed to be cleared. On top of that, there was a few other little things that they were going to do as far as change in their bid. I can't remember exactly what everything was, but they basically knocked off like $150,000 off the quote off the top.
So how long
Just
until
so
they
we
can do
can-
the assessment?
So we're supposed to have a pre-construction meeting that hasn't been set up yet. And when we do that, the assessment, they said they should be able to pretty much do right away, but now the actual work wouldn't start until probably July is when it would be dry enough to actually
Right.
get in there.
Yeah, because they've only got like 3 months of dry weather.
That was one of the things that they mentioned, is that if we could wait till July till dry weather, they could take off some of the money, because they had a pretty big amount of money set aside for equipment, and there was some,
Yeah.
hey, if our
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
gets stuck and we need to pay
crane
$30,000
to come
to
get
get
it
it
out,
out
yeah.
of there. I mean, that was kind of it built in there. So, they worked with us and Scott, and we got it down to a much lower number, manageable number. So until they do the assessment, we won't really know. But in the meeting, I'm sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
I was reading, of course, the first thing says design, and then down here, there's another design. Whose design difference is it?
There's 3 different zones
Oh,
for the project.
so that first one is not the whole.
The
project?
first one is probably the tree removal design, and then the second one is the lynch fields
Oh,
that have to be redesigned. Because once they remove the trees, they've got to replace all the leach fields out there, the drip fields.
So and Scott is probably, much more inclined to tell you exactly what's going on, but this from our conversations is we have seven zones. 2 of them already don't work. Our hope is when they do the assessment that we can still use the 2 zones, but we just have to fix them, because we don't think that the state will let us remove those lines and replace them. So our best option that we hope we can do to save us money is to repair those 2 zones, but we also need to expand. We're hoping to add 2 more zones. So with the soil mapping and clearing out of the trees in the other area, we're hoping to be able to add 2 more zones.
And the thing is we have until September, because I put Gary Horn off until September, which is our TDEC guy, who comes out and inspects all this to make sure that we're in compliance with the state. And Gary has said, hey, I'll give you guys until September, because I know you got ARP money and y'all got things going on, and I don't want to inspect the leach fields right now. He said, because I know y'all have issues. So he's gave us until September to get rolling. And that was last year.
Last I heard, there's still zones that were spare, basically. Is that not the case?
Every zone is pretty well covered in trees. The worst case scenario when this got put out there, and Robert had made that suggestion when they started this thing, and to eliminate trees, and got outnumbered on it. They should have never been trees out there in the first place. They should have been cleared before this was ever put out there, and we wouldn't be having this issue.
If anybody's ever done a septic tank,
Should have known. But when they put the trees out there, the roots have got into the leach lines, and so that's what's
sounded
caused
like
us.
it'd suck up all the moisture, but it doesn't.
Right. They figured the trees would help with the flooding, and no.
So the trees got oversaturated and they died, and then the branches fell on top
Right.
of the lines and broke them.
That'll do it.
There becomes.
So right now we're only running on 4 zones.
Yeah.
2 of the zones
Instead of 6.
are not working. Yeah, instead of 6.
And we really need 8. I mean, we're adding houses all the time. Like I've got right now 2, 3, 4, 6 houses, 2 that we're waiting on installs, and 4 more that a guy's fixing to build that is wanting to connect. And the good part for us is, thanks to Rick, we're charging because we put this in place last year to cover our costs because it was costing us $13,500 to put in a system, and for reasons unknown, they were only charging $10,000, and I was like, no, we're going to put a cap at this at 15 and revisit it every year. So we kept it at 15 because 13.5, if we had any hidden cost from the contractor, it would cover us. And now Rick has found us to where we're getting it for about 10, so we're making a little bit of money off the installs to where we've never really made profit off of it. So we've made about, on the next few installs, we'll make about $30,000 to go back into Wayside, which will really help us. So the more that we are,
But it won't fix
it will.
enough for the 2
There's no way.
fields that are not even working.
There's no way we will cover any cost to help this. We're going to have to look at grants, and we're going to have to look for help. There's no way that Wayside itself could pull it out of this, and we can't keep charging the citizens to fix
What is the
it.
state's position on adding more houses?
The state's position, as long as the step system can hold it, we can add, and I have to keep a very, very tight monitor on that. We can only go to 84 houses out there right now on that system, and I think if we add 6 more, we're at 72.
Yeah, it's like 70, 72.
Um,
So we still got a little room.
we still got a little room to go, but the problem with that is if we continue, I think the system maxes out at what, 124, Rick?
I'm not sure, but I do know that. So,
And that's if it's fully running and we're down 2 zones.
well, yeah. So, if the system was running like it's supposed to,
Yeah.
then yes, we could run 84 houses. But
Well,
I'm
I
here
would
to tell
think
you
it'd
that-
never been at 100.
yeah, I'm here to tell
100%.
you because I go out there more than I would like to. Like guys do.
It's not running
Definitely
like
not
it should.
running at optimal position. So.
And some of
it never
that's,
will.
But the assessment will
Well-
definitely tell us exactly where we stand. Now, the problem that we'll have is, when they do the assessment, obviously they'll tell us how much it's going to cost to get it up to, optimal running
Right.
performance. Whether or not we have the money to
Right.
get it there will be is where we're going to.
and then we'll have decisions to make. I mean, we can't do the CLB back in 17 years ago when this started already raised the taxes on just that area out there. So Wayside already pays a higher tax out there because of the
No
system.
idea how much that is, but
I don't, but I do know it's in my stuff at home. I've got the financials on that. They pay a higher tax because of this system being out there, and they were paying an outrageous maintenance fee. And now that maintenance fee is like $80 a month just for the sewage, on top of their water
when you
bills.
say maintenance fee, that's their billing.
Right, they pay an $80 fee just for sewage,
Plus
plus whatever their water is.
the service.
Plus the water, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's-
Of course, that's separate.
right.
Yeah, the total bill is somewhere $120 to $150, depending on the usage of
Whose
that
water is
personal
that?
house.
We run it through Hillsville. I mean, my bill runs 124 through Hillsville,
Yeah.
and that's an average home.
Just for water?
Yeah.
No,
Well, that's water and
That's
sewage.
for both.
I start to say that's picking up the
They pick up our
$80
sewage.
maintenance you're
Yep.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's for both.
So I mean, we really can't add more debt onto that district out there.
So let me ask you, Hillsville's doing that. They're getting that revenue off of that bill.
we
Where-
pay
where does that
them
end
to
up?
we pay them to collect that maintenance fee for us.
Yes.
We pay them $3 per house to collect that,
Yes.
and they send it to the county every month.
Okay.
They send
I
it, and it
assumed
goes
that
into
was
our
the
account.
case.
So we actually charge $82 per house. $2 fee goes in there, and then we eat a $1 fee. And the only reason we did that is because I made a deal with the board a little over 18 months ago. I made a deal with Hillsville board to tie the water to the sewage. which hadn't been done, so that
Made it hard to collect.
if people didn't pay their water
They
bill,
don't get water.
right, they don't get, if they didn't pay their sewage
only
bill, they
way
didn't
you
get
can.
water because of it. Before that, it was they had the option. They didn't have to pay their sewage bill, so we were in the rear $45,000 out there on sewage because people didn't have to pay it.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
So we wiped it clear, started over, and tied it
Yeah, I can't.
to their water. So I just made a deal with them and paid them an extra $1 per house, and they said we were good with that.
Those
So
people that were not paying never have.
right, and so now they have to pay or they will not have water. And after 3
They're
months,
not
they'll shut them
paying
down.
Any arrears.
Right, and so we wiped their rears clear, sent them out a letter saying, hey, we'll clear all your rears, but here going forward, you have to pay. And if you're not willing to pay, then
You don't get water.
you don't get water.
You don't have service, and 2 or 3 months of that, they shut you down.
And now all these people that had sued 17 years ago are starting to get onto the system because their septic tanks aren't holding out, and you can't get a septic tank in that area. You come to codes to get a new septic tank installed, to get a permit to do it, and they call me and say, hey, you got to talk to David. By the time they get a hold of me, we've got to tell them, hey, it's $15,000 to get on the system.
Well, that's why I asked about the state's position. I would assume
State's
they wouldn't
position.
want any more added.
TDEC is, as long as the system's out there, we can add. Doesn't matter if the land perks or not.
Only to that number.
Only to the number that the system will hold, but because the system's having issues, they're still issuing permits, and TDEC's aware of where we're at with it. And I'm like,
surprised.
they gave me a number of 84. The original number for the system was 126, and we agreed on 84. And right now I'm trying to hold it at this 72 until we get this project done.
That would seem like the thing to do.
I'm trying to hold it at this last developer that just came in and try to hold it there. I've got another guy that called me out of Murfreesboro that's doing a development there that wants to put a step system in, who is wanting to do another development here in Beech Grove, and said, hey, would you work with me on a step system there? And I said, you got to run that through our planning commission. I don't have anything to do with that. His name's Don Bruce. And I said, I don't know anything about that. So,
Well, when they're wanting to build subdivisions, they're gonna have to do something, because you're not gonna be able to run sewer lines for 50 miles to
right.
get it connected.
And then I know that the next thing that'll be on our agenda, and it's something that I know that me and Rick had discussed, and we discussed at our last meeting, is we have got to raise what we pay our maintenance guys to go out there. We average about $17,000 a year for maintenance, doing maintenance calls out there. And I think we're paying you guys, what are we paying you right now, Rick?
It's $40 an hour.
It's $40 an hour, and that doesn't matter what day of the week it is.
Start to say, does that, it basically impacts what you're doing otherwise, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where they're at, what they're doing. Doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday. And I just think that fee should go up, and we need to discuss that at the next meeting of what we should go up to. We're budgeted $19,000 to in that maintenance fee to cover them is what our budget usually hits is 19. We never hit that. We normally hit around 14, 15. So we never hit that. So we have enough room in there to pay them a little more because they are out there on Saturdays and Sundays, and that's their time to be off, and they're still going out there to answer
Well,
calls.
that's what I didn't get around to asking is, how's that working? They're getting paid, aren't they? Through
Yeah,
the county?
We get paid to through Wayside to go out there. I mean, it's separate from the county now. The county pays they do the books for Wayside.
Right.
So I turn in a.
So I guess the
lot.
question for me is it equal to what the county would be paying?
For me, no, but for my other guys, they don't pay as much, so they get paid a little bit more. But here is okay. So
The dilemma would be if they're sitting at home on a day off, watching Tennessee game, they get a call for an emergency that a pump's gone out, and they got to leave their family, leave everything, and go out there.
I've done all that, I know.
Yeah, and I would say if we up the rate on a weekend, I could understand that. We need to do something there. We really do. A night call,
Well, I'm wondering how you get people to come if you don't.
right? So we've got to give them something there. Otherwise, we're set for 2 days with nobody having a sewage problem. Because if they say no, hey, I'll be there Monday.
Is that happening?
It's not, because these guys are really good to help us, and that's why I say we return the favor. And we go to put it on the next agenda, and we can discuss it and talk about it. And I'm going to do that in 2 weeks. I want to get that on the agenda to discuss.
I'm just gonna. So I thought we are.
We put it on there.
In minutes, but I mean, I thought we already voted on all of that the last time.
I was thinking we did too.
We voted on to get it done, but we never voted on where we were going with it. And I'll pull those minutes out for the next meeting.
I'm just gonna tell you that the situation that I'm in right now. Okay, so a year ago you told me I'm gonna pay your guys $70 an hour, right? A year ago. Okay, so I went and told my guys, hey, we're gonna pay you. They're gonna finally take care of you. Okay.
Okay.
A year ago,
So I'll pull the minutes from that one.
we voted on it. I may not have been on the board at that time. I think it was the exact
No, you
same
were.
meeting. But I'm pretty sure everybody that's here, not you weren't here, but everybody else that was here voted to do that.
Yeah,
And if that's what we did, I'll make sure it gets
And
done.
it never
remember.
happened.
So we
for
never
last
got
year,
minutes
I've
to
had
finance?
Put up with my guys saying, "Hey, what happened?" And I'm saying, "Hey,
I bet.
I don't really know, but we're gonna have another meeting," and we never had another meeting, and it never got done.
Gotcha.
So I mean, you just understand. I have to go back and tell my and
Nope.
I'm one of them. Now I go out there and do it. You know, I'm not necessarily complaining for myself, but I have to take care of the guy. Because like what you said, I mean,
Yep.
if I have to call my guys out there on a Saturday,
Yep. No,
they
I
have
get
to
it.
Go out there Saturday or Sunday, which is, you know, one of their only days off. I get, you know, hey, what happened to what we
Well,
was promised?
I'm
Yep.
surprised
We
they're
need to
coming.
check those minutes, 'cause
Yeah, let
I
me-
thought
Well,
that
I mean,
was.
I mean,
No, let me pull those minutes and make sure, and
it's
then
me
I'll make it right.
It's me and Justin, because Robert he trained us how to do everything, and we've been going out there for 20 years. Now Justin, he pretty much does the lead on most of it, and then we talked about doing the preventive maintenance thing, and so I brought another guy in to help with that because we can't. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we can't keep up.
No,
We
there's no
can't.
way.
So I brought another guy in, but the same thing. It's, you know, I have to ask them to do it on the weekends, and I'm telling you, it's hard. They do it because I make them, because they've been my employees for a long time. But I can only promise them.
Well, if we promised them that, we should have done
Keep
it.
kicking the can down the road for as long as I can. Eventually,
Nope.
they're just not gonna like.
I'm gonna make sure it happens if that's what we discussed, and I'm.
And I know there was a 1 month period where we stopped doing it because of insurance reasons, and the county said that, you know, they weren't going to cover the insurance, and there was one call, and I saw the receipt for it, and it was $585, maybe even more than that, and that was for one call to go out there and do it. So, I mean, I know, being on this board, I know we can't afford that.
So there again, how's the insurance gonna work
So
after hours?
So
Who's paying the insurance?
So what I did is, between me and David, I think David had a part in it, and Marianne, we sat down and they worked out a deal through the county, where if we go out there, the county will cover us.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be a reimbursement deal,
Yes.
so that the insurance is covered.
So we're covered because
Okay,
apparently we didn't know it, but we were going out there and not being covered. And
They
so
wouldn't
that's,
be.
So that's when we pulled out.
if it's not on the payroll, it's not getting paid.
And they wanted us to be a third-party contractor, basically, and obviously for $40 an hour, my guys aren't gonna go buy their own insurance, drive their own vehicles, and buy their own tools for $40 an hour to do that. So we all made the decision to resign, and we had to resign for about a month before they could get it all worked out. And like I said, there was.
When you say resign from
I
Wayside,
thought the top dollar on that was 70, and it was gonna be a couple of years
And
to
it was
build
just
them
because
up to
the
that
county-
70.
So
At
did
the
I.
time, the county
That's
said,
why I'm
"We're not
trying to
gonna-
find the minutes.
We're not gonna
I'm
cover you.
almost
You
sure
go out
that's
there and
what
you
we
get
voted
hurt,
on,
dog
like
bites you,
70
because we have to go out there and
well,
do
like I
all-
said, if it's not on the payroll,
Yeah, so,
it wouldn't be covered, and
yeah, so,
it wouldn't get covered.
and that's why we resigned from that, you worked itself out after a few weeks, but
Yeah, I'll have to find those minutes and get them to Mariana because I was under the impression that we were gonna vote on it, but I will look. And if we,
I think
I'm
we,
not mistaken.
I was thinking we capped it at 70, and I could be wrong too, cause I don't remember. I was thinking we capped it at 70 and gonna build it up like in a couple of years from 40 to 55 to 60 to 60. I don't remember, but I thought that.
I knew there was an increase, but I need to find out where those minutes are and I'll look for them. And I bet that's in Ralph's folder and make sure it happens. I will take care of that
not
this
exactly
week.
what the amount and all was, but I remember voting for the raise.
Yeah, I knew that
Okay.
we wanted them to have a raise. I'm with Rick, I don't remember. I need to,
Maybe to get them back pay.
I should've.
I could
should've
agree.
brought my notes.
So I will pull those numbers, I will pull those meetings out of, emails and out of, what's the last
I mean, we're
meeting?
here now, so I mean, if we're gonna agree on something, which is
Right, I mean, we could,
obviously, I'm going to abstain because I'm in it, but if we talk about it, or you guys talk about it and agree with something, I'm just asking that it get done, because I can't kick the can down another
No,
3 months, or
I don't want you
4
to.
months, or 5 months, cause my
How,
guys are.
how are we gonna
Why
figure
don't we
out the
finalize that in 2 weeks
dollar
when we
amount?
meet?
Why didn't it just go through, the county payroll and let,
Because,
County
get
don't pay 'em.
reimbursed
because.
for that amount?
because the county doesn't pay them, we
The
do.
county
So
doesn't
ba-
pay
yeah,
them,
the county
Wayside
doesn't
does.
pay us, so the county just does the books for Wayside. So David, or the authority, sets the amount that they're gonna pay per hour for
So
their
therefore,
And-
then, how are they being insured?
the same thing, so, cause we're our county employees, right, so Mariana worked it
But
out
not
through-
when you're working for Wayside,
Yeah, so Mariana.
unless you got an agreement.
Yeah, so Mariana worked it through, I think, Travelers Insurance,
Okay,
because we were already covered by them to cover us after hours and anytime that we were on,
On call at
Wayside
Wayside.
property or on call for Wayside, that they would cover us. And David may know, I don't know the
So-
situation, but they may charge an extra amount per month for us for insurance, and Wayside might pay that.
Yeah.
I
they,
don't know
they
that.
would have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I doubt they.
To
We-
would.
even
Obviously,
make
I
they're
mean,
it
we need
fair.
to
They're
think
not gonna
about
do it
all
for
that
free.
before we start,
County's not.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
at the end of the day, I wouldn't know that. I've got to get with Mariana on that because I haven't received an email or Mariana hasn't got back with me since April. And that's been I've talked to the mayor about that. I've had a conversation with the comptroller about that. I've went to Nashville and sat in Brian's office and still haven't got any kind of conversation from Mariana. So I'm a little ticked off there. But Rick, to your point, yes, I will go back and look at those minutes, and if we do need to make back pay right, I'm okay with that. If I can get a motion for that, I can't make that motion. But we do need to, if those were on the minutes, we do need to make that
I'd
right.
say what we told them we should do.
well, let's
So
look
I
at
can make the
minutes
motion?
first before
I'll
we do
agree, but if
anything
it's
like that.
in the minutes, we need to make it right.
Right.
That's what I'm
Let's-
saying.
Let's pull those minutes up and,
Well, hopefully the
And make it right.
hopefully the minutes can be pulled and.
They can be because they have to be turned into the comptroller's office, so we have them.
I motion to finalize that in the 2 weeks that we have this next meeting coming up. Gives everybody a chance that was present to go back over, the minutes and everything we voted on that day. And make it finalized for these guys in 2 weeks for the next.
And I'll put it on,
You said we
I'll
was
put
gonna
it,
meet
we're gonna meet in 2 weeks and I'll put it on the agenda to go back over those minutes and also put it in there to vote for back pay for these guys. Because that's fair.
Right.
I motion to, let's finalize this in 2 weeks, so everybody's got our notes back in front of us. Anybody wanna second that?
Yeah, I'll second.
Are the notes here?
Uh,
Where would I see them?
I don't have them
them
at the moment, I'll have them at the next meeting.
I don't know if they're in yours, but I know they're in ours,
And that's,
from our notebook.
that's what I said, with my secretary leaving, I just got all of his stuff and I'm having to dig through it.
Which was a mess too.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be is, so Ralph was the secretary, correct?
Yeah.
And so, if he didn't have the minutes or didn't turn minutes in, then there would be no record of what happened, correct?
I've got that
sure we got.
I'm sure I've got minutes
Minutes.
somewhere because normally he turned them into Connie. We've got them in email form. I've got them somewhere because I had to approve those minutes. They had to be sent to Sam before we ever had a meeting. So they're in an email there somewhere. I will find them before the next meeting. Yeah, we will find them because I remember talking about it, and I just don't remember exactly what we agreed on.
Okay.
And I do agree on these guys need to be taken care of because we did want to add somebody because preventive maintenance out there is a big deal. And if these guys don't have the right pay and have the right time to
They're
make it
not
happen,
gonna show up,
they're not going to show up.
period.
And then that's just going to be a mess. And I want to make sure we take care of these guys. I mean, that's point blank.
I think we need to, finalize that in the 2-week meeting coming up. Give everybody a chance to pull them notes back up and see what we did vote on.
Were there any minutes in the front of yours?
Because I don't remember,
November, let's see,
this was a while ago, wasn't it, Rick?
It was a full year ago. It was
February 23rd?
Yeah, probably.
I want to say it was in March, but
I don't see anything about,
I mean,
nothing about pay.
I've got March 8th of 24 right here.
That's not one on my list.
it would have been in March.
And that's why I'm saying we may have had another one because this one says you were present. And it says the board has filed to have Rick Susi approved to replace the position board vacated by Robert Gilling. David needed to tie up the lines underneath the Wayside Road. This is when we did those. And then the new business was to discuss the officers for the board, discuss the next meeting, to answer questions, details to discuss the meeting. Next meeting will be May 2nd. And we weren't able to have that meeting, because I got sick.
Well, let's
So I
let's
don't
just
hear
pull
anything
our-
about pay.
Pull our
See that?
paperwork together.
Can you,
Rick Susi will check on the lines going underneath the county. Wayside Acres is financial
In the-
budget big.
In the minutes, does it have me being voted into the board?
I thought that was the time you was voted in.
I mean, that's the time that we spoke about the raises was the
Was
same,
that-
was the same meeting that I was.
Was that
I
same
voting
time?
I think that's
Yeah.
going to be the April meeting.
Uh,
Because this is March 8th of 2024, and I don't have that. We just have unfinished business was the board had to approve you to be replacement.
But it doesn't have me being voted in.
I thought we done that the same meeting.
Uh,
Well, so that's what I'm
So
saying.
it's going
We
to be
just
the
need
next
to-
meeting.
straight,
We got 2 weeks to.
So I've
pull
got-
our
I've got a
paperwork
timeline.
together, So,
get your people's hours.
I mean, I turned in the log sheet to them. I mean, they have it.
Yeah, so we'll
yeah,
have a
so
record.
They got that, so.
Yeah. So now I've got a timeline somewhere between March 8th and May 2nd. So I will find those minutes.
I got
I mean,
mine at the house. I'll go back
The next
to
meeting
it.
was supposed to be the open forum.
Yep.
With the public.
Right,
That was gonna be the
Right.
next meeting.
and that's when Dave got, sick and got down, so.
So, in the meeting, I was voted in. It may have been spoken about after I was voted in or before. I can't remember. I just know I was here. We talked about the raise.
Yep.
For some reason, everybody voted on it, or maybe it wasn't an official vote, and everybody said that they were good with the $70 an hour. And then you said, you mentioned something about, okay, in the next meeting, I'll make it official. I don't know what that means. I mean, if we all voted on it, maybe we didn't have an official vote. Maybe that's.
We got to get it into the minutes
Maybe that's.
because I have to have the minutes to go to financial to be able to say, hey, here's a copy of the minutes. This is right. This is what has to take place.
So maybe it just didn't get, maybe it was an unofficial vote. I don't know.
So what we'll do is we'll go back through those, we'll make it right, and we'll handle at the next meeting on the 2nd. So I'll have all my ducks in a row. We need to put a date on that meeting. What works for you guys?
Any day.
Any day for me too, so.
2 weeks from today, I can do a Thursday at any time.
Were we talking about the 11th?
Yeah.
I
can
can
do
make
any,
11th.
I can do any time that day.
Make it over evening.
That's a Friday, right?
It
think
is.
That's a Thursday, ain't it?
No.
11th is a Friday.
Friday.
That's a Friday.
Okay. Or I can do the 10th anytime that day.
That's okay with me too.
Now the 10th I can do all day long. I'm off. So
10th, I could do the 10th, but it'd have to be late in the evening, late like today, 4 o'clock, 4:30, something like that.
does that work for everybody? And do the 10th. That way Friday I can turn in the minutes to wherever we need to go with them. That way there's a business day behind it. Let's do April 10th, and I'll get an agenda out to you guys by Monday morning this week. We'll get it posted. Anything you guys want to add to that agenda, please send it to me by Monday. So I'm going to have that emailed to Connie so she can post.
If you can come up with what y'all think you're gonna wanna vote on, I'd like to see it.
Okay. Yeah, I usually try to get the agenda out to you guys before I send it to Connie for you guys to look at. So if I don't have your email, send it to me. I know I have both of y'all's because it's the commissioner emails. Rick, I can text it to you, or you can send me your email and I'll shoot it over to you. We'll get this right. I know you don't have an email, so I'll just bring you a hard copy.
Well, I'm sure I do, I just don't know how to use it, so.
I think so. I guess something that should be voted on, since I'm assuming Ralph is no longer going to be on board, is that we would nominate another secretary, and then I'm new to this thing, so
Nope,
I don't know,
you're good.
As far as another member, do we have to? Is that a mayor appointment? Or?
As long as we have 5, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He appointed Dwight. That pretty much took Ralph.
Okay.
And as far as secretary goes, I have to bow out of that one. You guys can vote.
I can't. I mean,
You just have to make a motion.
Obviously, I can't do it.
You mean for one of us to be secretary? I can't do it.
I would make a motion that Dwight be the secretary.
I'd rather not.
But he probably doesn't.
I used to do secretary
Yeah.
till I had a stroke, and then I had a problem.
I understand.
I mean, because right
Keeping
now
it
what's
up.
going to happen is I'm recording these and I'm going to hand it to my wife and she's going to take care of it. Because that's legit what's going
Start
to
saying,
happen.
whatever
Let's
works.
just go that route.
Whatever works for y'all.
I mean, right now,
Lord knows I can't do it.
as chairman, I'm going to hand the phone to my wife. She's going to listen to this and she's going to make minutes
So let's go that route for the moment.
until somebody feels comfortable taking it.
We got bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah.
Another question I have is, of course, I'm sure. So with last year, the whole issue with the budget not being turned in, where are we at as a board? As far as budget wise, how do we determine the budget? I mean, who?
I'm waiting
who
on
writes the
Mariana for
budget?
that. Mariana turned in our
So,
budget the first year I took over.
Mariana is not gonna do your budget. I can just tell you that right now.
Well, here's the
Start saying,
thing.
I'm betting she's not.
She did our budget the first year.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, you've done something to Mariana. Okay, you've said something to her. You've called her out. You've done something. Okay, and I've spoken with her, and she is not going to do your budget. So we, as a board, we need to look at it. We got to get a third party in here. Do we, what options do we have? Because Mariana is not going to do it for you anymore. I don't, whatever your guys' relationship is, it's not good.
I mean,
Well-
is that a call she gets to make, or
Yeah,
is
I
she?
mean-
No, because the comptroller says her name's on it and she has to turn it in, and that's a Brian call. So I guess I'll go have a conversation with her.
But I mean, we have as a authority. Do we not have to? I don't want to say you, but do we not have to turn a budget into her? I mean, as a department,
That's
head,
what
I
I
have
was
to.
told.
I don't have to turn anything into her. Mine goes straight to the comptroller. I don't even have to turn money into her. I can pull everything out of this county at any moment that we would like.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
And I don't have to have a board vote for that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. What do we? I mean, what do we need to do? So as far as parts and maintenance and stuff, I need to know.
I got to go find out how much money's in our account, which is what I've been trying to get an answer out of her for since April.
Yeah.
What's
So
in our
there is an
account?
account
Yeah,
of the counties.
yeah.
So
There's-
that's why she wants some kind of
Wayside.
budget.
Yeah, but we don't have numbers. I couldn't tell you what's in there. She did our account the first year and turned in our budget, put her name on it to the comptroller's office. And when I went and sit and talked to Brian about it, I went to Nashville, had a conversation with Brian, said, hey, I don't have a budget and don't know what to do with it. And he said, well, you should have made a budget. I said, well, Mariana made a budget and put her name in it. And so when I went to turn the budget in, her name was on it as the one to do the budget. And he goes, no, you're right. She's the one that needs to do it because she's the one who turned it in last year. And I said, okay. And he said, you have an operating, you can do day to day, but you can't do anything to go in debt. So I sent that back to her. I had a conversation with Dennis, told him the exact same thing. He said, I'll go have a conversation with her. I haven't heard anything back. So I don't know what to do from that point.
Can you
Rick may
do
be
our
right.
budget?
Y'all might not need to talk.
So,
I mean, they gotta, whatever it is, it's gotta be fixed, because
Yeah.
if she's responsible for
Somebody's gotta
that.
do it.
yeah,
well,
if
the
she's
problem is I questioned her on how we went from $182,000 to $15,000 in the account, and it pissed her
Everybody
off.
should question that.
Because I asked how we went from $182,000, and then 2 months later we had $15,000 in the account, and I said, where'd the money go? I want to see a breakdown.
Absolutely.
And I said, every invoice that comes through from now on, I want to sign off on every invoice. And she got her butt hurt about it. And I have that right to be able to sign off on every invoice that comes through. Because we're responsible for the money that comes in out there, which is not our money.
Well, I mean, that money that comes in out there is how we pay these guys, how we keep parks, how we kind of try to keep this thing afloat. You know, everybody's got to pay their bill. So the money's there somewhere. So I
I'm
would question
certain
it
there's a
too.
record.
Yes, I would question it too.
She's got an account that tracks all that. She could print it out.
I mean, I can literally go hire a CPA and turn all of our stuff there and have Hillsville move our money to somewhere else and not turn it in here and turn it in there. I mean, that's not a here nor there to answer Rick's question, if that's what we need to do, and then have a CPA do our budget. And I can pay a CPA, I can go up here
I
to
think about
Brandon's.
Hillsborough, you're never gonna be able to collect.
I can go to Brandon's and have, well, yeah, with Hillsville, all I gotta do is just tell them where to redirect the money. They cut a check every month. So I can go to Brandon's and pay $150 a month. I
That
mean,
would probably suit her.
and get it pulled completely out of the county.
Well, I mean, whatever we gotta do is what we gotta do. You know, but if she's responsible for that and don't have the authority to just say, I ain't gonna do that, then something needs to be fixed on that end.
Especially when we pay them to handle that, and we do pay.
What little I know about it, Wayside is not really a sideline for the county. It wasn't ever supposed to happen,
It was not.
so
It was a good old
I
boy.
think it's kind of a stepchild at best.
At best. It's an adopted thing that should have never happened, should never be part of the county, and it should have been separated.
Well, I mean, I think that's,
But the comptroller's telling me that we can't separate. I asked. I had that conversation. Can we pull everything out of the county? Can we do our own maintenance? Can we make everything separate? And he said absolutely not. We have to have county oversight. We have to have county involvement. I had that question because me and Dennis had that conversation in November. And Dennis said, will you ask that question? And I said, absolutely. I asked that question, and he said, absolutely not. I took Joe Mike Hodge with me because he was commissioner for the district, and Joe Mike was with me during that meeting, and the guy told me no. Just to cover my butt. So I wanted somebody there with me who was a representative of the commissioner board. And so I took Joe Mike with me, and we had that meeting, and he said, no, you cannot pull it out of the county. Because that was my thought. Get an independent CPA, pull it out of the county
Sounds
completely.
like an easy way.
Yep. Find an outsourced maintenance.
That's what I
Yep.
said. I'm certain she wants.
I'm sure the whole
That
county would
changed.
love it. And the only reason she's upset is because I questioned.
Is because, I mean,
You got to have an operational budget.
Well, we had the same, not the same, a similar situation with the conference center. And she and the county basically separated. We still own the part of the building, but we don't run the thing anymore, so.
Right. I mean, so it's one of those things to where she's going to have a conversation with me, and I don't know if that's going to happen with me and the
Probably
mayor.
you and Dennis, I'd say.
Yeah, probably. And I'm,
He's actually the boss.
and I'm good with that because he's her boss, and that's why I went to him and I said, hey, and he said I'll handle it, and I haven't heard anything back since November, but he's been busy. We had holidays, so I'm gonna revamp that conversation and hopefully have an answer in the next couple of weeks.
If we're gonna get a budget in, we better be getting it done.
Yep.
I mean, again, whether she's doing it or
Whoever's doing it.
whoever's doing it, you can't go from 182,000 to 15,000 in 1 month unless,
60 days,
yeah, unless things
just to
are-
be accurate.
So doesn't matter who's doing it.
Well,
we
I
gotta-
would think it'd be pretty easy to print out and see
I agree.
if there's a problem or not.
Well, that's what I was asking, and when I asked that question, I got no answers.
Well, gotta have answers, I mean.
And I
Of
was,
course, she's right in the middle of budget now, so
and I was literally
she's gonna be,
coming to talk to Judd about it that morning, and that was the morning that Judd passed away. And I walked into Sam's office and I said, "Hey Sam, I need to talk to Judd." And he goes, "Well, he'll be back in a few." And he said, "Hang out." And I hung out. Next thing I know, the building was getting locked down, and I was like, "Oh, well, we're not talking to Judd today,"
no, we're not.
because I just had a meeting with him the night before and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." And he said, "Well, talk to me in the morning."
That's bad.
Well,
So
it wouldn't have made any difference, would it?
no, that's where we were.
Whether it was yet the day before or not.
Right. So
All right.
that's where we're at on that. But we got to get that situated, and we got to get these guys took care of out there. Otherwise, it's going to be a teetotal mess when we go to get this situated. I mean, when we took over Wayside, there was $264,000 in that account. When I took over as chairman in January of 23. And you put a surplus of about $6,000 to $8,000 in there a month, and your budget's $97,000 a year. There should still be money in that account. You're spending, you're negative about $17,000 a year coming out of that account, give or take. There still should be like $100,000. So, and that's just on the high side, because I look at the worst case scenario.
Well, and that's gotta stay Wayside money. I mean, that's Wayside people paying it in, so that's gotta stay Wayside money,
Yeah.
just for operational purposes.
And that's why I asked where it went, because we approved these guys to buy $12,000 worth of parts and keep those on hand. We did that like our second meeting in, because they were running with no parts.
And that's kind of the reason I asked again, is because we were, again, running with no parts. And I actually had to buy parts today. And as far as price-wise, our residential pumps I'm getting a pretty good price on those. But the big pumps for the circulating and the discharge pumps, they're fairly expensive, but we don't use very many of them. We did have a discharge pump go out today, so that's why I was bringing it up. But
So what do you do with those bills?
He has an operation.
I turn them into so I turn this bill into the budget
Man.
office and pull a PO and everything, and then they in return bill Wayside.
I mean, we have money in an account.
I'm
We just don't
guessing-
have a budget.
That 180,000 or whatever, part of that's gonna show up.
Plus whatever we're bringing in every month. Plus, like I just had 2 people hook onto the system, drop a $15,000 check off.
Each.
Yeah, and it's only $10,000. Is our cost right now? I think it's the last one we were bidded out, right, Rick?
I believe
Roughly 10. It's like 98.
it might be 10-2 or something like that.
Yeah,
Went
10-2,
up
something
a
like-
little bit since the last, because
Yeah.
we just rebid it in the past year,
So
and I think it was like it's really close to that.
yeah, so we're putting $4,000 every time we hook a system up straight into the account. It's
That
profit,
should be saying for depreciation eventually,
right? So
instead of spending it.
right. So I mean, there should be money. Is what I'm getting down to. So whether she likes me, doesn't like me, whatever, she's gonna have to have a conversation.
Yeah,
That's just part of your job.
I'm sorry
grow up.
whoever got their feelings hurt, but still, business is business, and we gotta be able to operate out there with, we can't sit in here and pass things if we don't have money to make it happen with,
I'll handle that again before this meeting on the 10th, and we'll have our ducks in a row, and I will have a meeting with Dennis before then, and hopefully he can have us sit down with Mariana and get that took care of. I'll go talk with him Tuesday and see if he can go have a conversation. I'll get with Connie before, well, she's probably gone by now, but
I imagine she is.
I'll get with Connie Monday and see if she can get me on Dennis's calendar this week, and I'll sit down with him again and ask him if, hey, can you go have a conversation with Mariana and see where we're at? Can you get a budget in my hands of what we have in the account so that we can actually make a
Well,
budget?
I'm not sure. I think it's gonna take the three of you to have that meeting, so you don't have a bunch of back and forth. He said, they said, whatever.
And I'm good with that too.
Somebody needs to make a decision, who's gonna do what.
Yeah, I say without question, he needs to be present.
Totally agree.
Just.
Well, I mean, it's his employee.
That's what I'm
And-
saying, so, you know.
We just pay for a service, and if they don't want to do that service any longer, then we need to figure it out somewhere
Yeah,
else.
but we need to know.
But we need to know exactly where we're at to date and where that money is located and what we need to do.
All right, man.
Anything else? And I apologize for the informalness. We'll have everything lined up on the next one. I've been in the middle of a job change, so my life and with Ralph, no secretary, has been kind of crazy. So I'm going to let my wife pick that up to kind of help me out until somebody wants to pick that up.
I don't want no part of that. I ain't got time for that, so. What about you, Tim? Tim says no
I
too.
couldn't do it. Well, let's let her do it and pay her.
There you go. That works for me.
Fair enough.
I second that. If that's a motion, cause that.
We're all old and dumb now, so we
Right, yeah. Well, I'll go for me anyway on that. I won't say nothing about the rest of these young men, but,
I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest.
might be, yeah, might be.
I'd be willing to bet on it.
I think once we get this situated with this financial thing, I'm gonna let Dwight pretty much probably be our liaison with Mariana. I think.
Oh, that doesn't work so well either.
Kidding, Dwight. I'm kidding. Does anybody have?
It can't be David.
Yeah, it cannot be me.
I'm telling you right now, she's not gonna deal with you.
Well,
I don't know what
think
you
the
did to her, but
The truth is,
I do.
she never wanted to have to do anything with Wayside.
Oh, I know.
As far as she's concerned, it's not part of her job.
It is not. But I questioned a lot in the beginning,
Then,
and that was a lot of it.
then her boss needs to say that's not
Yeah.
part of her job, or yes, it is part of your job.
That's what's gonna
So
happen.
we can move forward. However, that's gotta be.
Yeah, but apparently it's not just that easy.
It's not.
If you've gotta go back to the state, I don't understand the position though with it.
You have
It
to be-
doesn't have to be her doing a budget.
I have to be when she
It's
put
gotta
her
be somebody, but it doesn't have to be her.
last
Or
year.
she did it the year before.
When she did it the year before, she put her name in as the authorized
It
person.
can be changed though,
yeah, I mean, how is she?
Totally agree.
On
And
the
I said-
other side of it, how does she know? Like, I don't understand why she should do it. I feel like that we should do it. Like,
I totally agree.
we're the ones that are responsible for knowing how much the pumps cost and how much
Well,
money we
be
spend
able to look
annually.
at the last year's budget that she did
But that's what I'm.
and make a new one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, let's say, like, with my experience that I know, we already all know that we're pretty sure the way that things voted that the maintenance cost is going to go up.
Yep.
I'm telling you that the pumps they've already went up since
Yep.
however many years. So I mean, Mariana is not responsible for that. So that's why I feel like we should do the budget. Now, whether or not we all vote on it and how we all sit down
I
and look
totally
at it.
agree with the board doing the budget, but the problem with that is right now is I can't get numbers out of her to know what we have and what we don't have and where we're at. And that's been
Well,
my
I
biggest
don't
thing.
know that side of it. I just feel
I
like
got no
we should be
issue.
in charge of the budget.
I do P&Ls
Putting it in.
all day long. I mean, I'm running 9 units right now, and I do P&Ls all day long for every month. I got no issue doing a P&L. It's just I got to know where my starting point is, and when you can't get that information out of somebody out of 8 different emails of saying, hey, if you'll just tell me what's in there and where we're at and what we have deducted.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if we, I agree, I think it needs to be done at the table. If we need to do that, I ain't got no problem doing that. I have no problem doing that. We just can't, we just can't start offering things that we don't have money for.
I totally agree. I mean,
We're writing checks we don't have money to cover.
the board
so-
can make the budget and should make the budget because we know where we're spending money and what's going on. But I can't do that when I don't know what our point A is.
In my case, I can't make one out. I can look at one that was done last year and start.
And that's the stuff I've been asking for. And I can't get an answer.
Well, I know she
There's-
doesn't wanna do
there's
it,
a-
and
there-
probably isn't going to, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna bet that,
So I'm going to have to get
Mayor's
Dennis.
not going to either, so
Well, I mean,
we just need something to start with.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, as I was told, if the mayor doesn't want to, then he'll get a conversation from deputy comptroller telling him he has to. So
well, I mean, again, whatever we gotta do to get.
Whatever works.
by the
Let's
time we
get
hit
back
the second
into
week in
this
April, we'll have our numbers on this table.
I'm like
Yeah,
Mariana,
let's
I
just-
really didn't wanna be on this committee anyway.
Let's just get it back to our table and.
When I found out all the
from
mess that
there.
went with it, me neither. This was crazy.
Yeah.
This has been a mess. This should have never.
Well, I think we're beyond the good old boy stage.
So, I mean, there's so much junk out there right now that it's crazy.
It is.
I mean, you got 3 dry months to get this stuff done, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to do it. But we got more problems than that right now. But by the 10th, I'll have as much as I can worked out. I've got to get with
Okay.
Dennis. I'll see if I can't get some final numbers to get us an A-point start. See where we're at.
If you can, whatever minutes.
I'll dig up
you could
minutes.
Forward.
Yep.
When you send out the agenda, well, that'll
I'll-
help me to,
I'll attach them
Try
so
to
you can
catch
get
up.
caught up. You're gonna find some history in the back of that as well. In the back of your book, it'll
Okay.
give you some history. And I'll get those sent to Tim in your email. Rick, if you'll shoot me yours, I'll send you that stuff as well. And I should have all that hopefully to you guys by Thursday of next week, because I'm off Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that's what I'm going to try to work on all this and get that worked out. But bear with me. This past few months has been crazy. I changed jobs, as everybody knows. I left Burger King after 10 years and
where are you at?
switched over to Waffle House.
Waffle House.
They offered
Sure.
me more money, and
I'd forgotten you were with Burger King, yeah.
they offered me more money, better stock options, and I said, hey, that's retirement. So,
All right.
all right, guys, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Closed.
We adjourn.
Second.
All right.
It's 4 o'clock on the 10th.
Yeah, I guess.
4 o'clock on the 10th.
4 o'clock on
Guess we better turn that thing off or it's still on.
the screen now.
One button, just